What's going on, everybody? How are you all doing today? Thank you so much for joining me on stream. I know it's been a while, been far too long. So of course we start off the stream with what is everyone, people are already beating me to what we're drinking tonight. What is everyone drinking tonight? My friend Michael from the Highlands from Scotland is drinking Jack Daniels. I'm drinking wine because I forgot to get some beer. And wine's all I've got in the house other than bubbly. And bubbly's for special occasions, so we won't bring that in. Thomas McCarthy already saying please like and share. So if you do want to help out the stream in any way, please like and share. And one of my bets has come in, so great. Fantastic. Great start to the stream. Anyway, we got a lot to cover. It's been a while since I've been live with you guys, so there's a lot to talk about. The FA Cup has happened, of course, which means there are things happening to the fixture list which could affect your ranking, could help you beat a lot of the players that are casuals who aren't paying attention to the fixtures and then might have to take a massive minus point hit for gathering a team full of 11 players. But anyway, we'll quickly say hello to some of the people in the chat. We have Thomas McCarthy, first one in the chat, Tommy P, Michael Ringsell, we got Jamal Rice, nice to see you here bright and early. Jeremy T, how are you doing? Good to see you in the chat again, my friend. And we got Wazza and 11 people watching as we're 2 minutes in. So, no questions yet, which is a surprise. Usually someone's jumped right in with a question. But I do want to quickly just talk about Game Week 28, first of all, is not does not have a blank. The Arsenal-Man City game could have been a blank, but Man City got upset in the FA Cup, which means they are not replaying the fixture. A lot of people thought they'd win, and if they'd won, again, this wouldn't be a blank. The only way it would have been a blank is if Man City had drawn in the FA Cup, and they didn't. So we have a full fixture list for Game Week 28. So no worries there if you had Man City players. That's why I kept 2 transfers, because I could have taken these 2 out if need be. But now I can just use the 1 transfer just so I don't lose it. Or I could use 2 and then try and save a transfer further down the line. But Game Week 31 is starting to take shape. And it could literally be a 4-game game week. Spurs Newcastle, and it was a mistake in my video not for me to mention it more clearly. The My Team episode, if you have seen it, it went live about half an hour to an hour before I streamed. Spurs Newcastle, because Spurs drew, they have to replay their fixture. Now, if Spurs win, they will not be playing in Game Week 31. Whereas if Spurs lose their replay, I believe it's against Rochdale, if Spurs lose, then Spurs Newcastle will happen in Game Week 31, which again would be a good fixture because Spurs Newcastle, you'd expect players like Kane, Eriksen, Son to potentially get points, Dele Alli, and their defence as well, although the fullbacks are hard to predict. But we have to wait and see about that one. But the games that are definitely happening are Bournemouth, West Brom, Huddersfield, Crystal Palace, Stoke, Everton, and then the Liverpool versus Watford game. So all players from those 8 teams are safe to transfer into your club. So feel free to do so, and that's where I'll be focusing my transfers, and then I can make last-minute Spurs transfers as we get closer to this game week. Now, the reason I am not going to be playing a free hit chip there is because my plan, and a very common plan, is going to be to use it later on, because there'll be another blank game week, which we can discuss a bit more, but I want to just make sure I'm keeping up with the chat. Amit Patel is in the chat as well. How you doing, Amit? Ellison Chur is in the chat. How you doing as well? When to use your free hit chip? We'll get onto that 1 second. And are you growing out? I just haven't had my hair cut yet, Michael. I've been busy. I got ill, and then I had paperwork and stuff to sort out with the council tax. Of course, we moved. Had to change over all my bills because we moved, all that kind of stuff. So I've been busy and ill, so that's why the hair's not been done yet. But maybe tomorrow it will get cut. Shashank Bandari, with everyone looking to get in some Game Week 31 players, I'm thinking of getting in some Arsenal players. I'm not too sure about getting in Arsenal players yet. They had that one really good game where Mkhitaryan, Aubameyang, Ramsey all looked great. I'm personally because they didn't carry on that form, not looking at Arsenal players massively. Jeremy T, been thinking about Sterling to Mahrez. Poor fixtures for City, good fixtures for Leicester. What do you reckon? For me, it's a bit too soon to take that risk, personally. Purely the way I see it is, yes, Mahrez looks like he could be getting back into the side. It looks like everything could be forgiven. And he could still do a good job for Leicester. But Man City can beat any team on their day. Which is why I don't necessarily like to pick my big players from big clubs and then look at fixtures and think I need to take them out. Because if that was the case, then should I really have them over other big players from big sides? So, personally, I would still keep Sterling. I'm not saying Mahrez is a bad option at all. Walid Kataba, nice to see you in the chat, my friend. Keep Son or question mark? At the moment, I would keep him, purely because he could be very good for you in that blank game week. Then, if Spurs do turn out to not have a game in that game week, then you could potentially look at taking him out. That's the way I would look at it. But I like Son. The issue is, of course, Lucas Moura. So I would keep him for now, because you've got through the tough period of fixtures with Son. Because Tottenham now have 4 good fixtures if that Game Week 31 fixture does happen. They've got Crystal Palace, Huddersfield, Bournemouth, and then potentially Newcastle at home. So I wouldn't look at getting Son out just yet. Pickford to Lloris, thoughts? Again, he's going to be a safe choice. He's definitely going to start. Spurs can get clean sheets. I can't see anything wrong with it. For me, Everton seem to be very up and down as far as their performances as a defence. But with Watford, Burnley, Brighton, Hove Albion and Stoke, I could imagine them getting clean sheets. And do you really want to be taking out a player that has a guaranteed Game Week 31 fixture as a transfer if you're not thinking of using a chip for Game Week 31? Been thinking Sterling out for Eriksen or Mahrez. We discussed Sterling out for Mahrez. Again, Tottenham have good fixtures, especially if that Newcastle game still carries on. However, I still like Sterling. I'm not looking to get rid of Sterling. So that is, of course, up to you. I just think the Man City options you don't necessarily need to get rid of just because the fixtures. I understand why people are wondering about that, because Arsenal-Chelsea, that's 2 hard fixtures. If you really think they're going to be poor for 2 game weeks, then fine. But Arsenal and Chelsea have not been on the kind of form that City have. Of course, Champions League coming back means there is going to be the risk of rotation though as well, which of course is always worrying. So I'd err on the side of keeping the Man City option just in case they win both games. But you do run the risk of rotation, of course. So I know I'm not sounding very sure, am I? Which isn't going to fill you lot with a lot of certainty, but that's the way I see it. What's the latest on Aguero? Will he be banned? I don't actually know. Jeremy T says FA say no action against Aguero, so that could be the case. I've not looked into it. Like I said, I've been ill. I've not actually been keeping an eye on things as much as I would usually. So I can't say for definite. But I will look into that before the next stream. Sorry, I'm talking to my landlord at the same time as chatting with you guys. I will try to focus now. Walcott or Siggy till Game Week 31 or Son? I would keep Son for now because I prefer him over Walcott and Siggy. But as soon as you find out that that Spurs fixture is a blank, then I would go Walcott. I think Walcott's got more upside as far as the likelihood of him scoring points in general. Although Sigurdsson's started to look like he's fitting into that club. Amit Patel thinks Ali and Kane for Spurs cover. I think free hit of 31, good, bad. I would say if you can do Game Week 31 without a free hit, go for it. Because I think a lot of people will have less players in Game Week 31. So I think you're more likely to get away with not using the chip in Game Week 31. So if you can manage to not use it, I would use it later. Michael wants to know what players I'm changing this week. I don't know yet. I do want to start looking towards Game Week 31, so I will probably be looking at Everton player or a Stoke player or potentially a Bournemouth player. One of those is most likely going to be my options. Want to get Richarlison out and I want to get Lingard out. Would it be stupid to captain Kane over Salah this game week? That is something you can answer after the game week has happened, to be fair. Because the way I see it, Salah has been the most consistent, but Kane can always be explosive. So you're not going to know until the game week's over. I am probably going to stick with Salah because he's just been that consistent. And it's against a West Ham defence that are quite weak. Crystal Palace's defence, of course, aren't amazing. But they definitely have conceded less shots than West Ham. West Ham conceded 100 shots in the last 6 game weeks. Crystal Palace have conceded 65. As far as inside the box, Palace have conceded 42. That's 10 less than West Ham have conceded inside the box. And on target, they've actually conceded more on target though. So read into that what you will, but I'm definitely liking anyone against that West Ham defence. Who to replace Bernardo Silva with? So what price is Bernardo Silva? We're looking at 7.4 million. So I do like Grosh. The fixtures aren't awful, but again, you've got a blank game week 31. Decore has been doing very well. I keep saying Decore is someone that's going to stop scoring, but he keeps popping up with goals. 5.4 million, 111 points, that's pretty good. I've really liked Shaqiri since I brought him in. If Ramsey can get rid of this knock, Ramsey is a good option if the fixtures look decent. That is a very good run despite this little blip here of the blank. Willian has... Did anyone see Willian in the Champions League? Because I heard he was absolutely amazing. If Willian could get a run in the first team, Willian could potentially be a good option. 6.8 million, 96 points. That isn't bad. He's better than some more expensive options. Arnautovic, I like the look of Arnautovic in the West Ham side currently, so I would consider taking a punt on him. The fixtures get very difficult game week 35 onwards though, so you would have to take that into consideration. But like I said, I would keep looking towards these teams. Just then you can potentially use your free hit elsewhere. Now what I will say in my plan, and it's very similar to Ben Krillin's, and if you don't follow Ben Krillin on Twitter is covering the blanks and double game weeks like an absolute boss. Literally, if you follow his Twitter, he's got a timeline on his Twitter. It's got everything you need for the double game weeks and the blanks. Just in case you didn't know, blank game week 31 because of the quarter-final fixtures. Game week 34 will most likely have all the fixtures that are blanking from game week 31, so that will be a double game week. Game week 35 straight after is most likely, well, it will be the blank game week for the other part of the season for the FA Cup semi-finals. And then game week 37 most likely going to be the double game week for the game week 35 blanks. So a lot of people are thinking that if we can get away without using the free hit in game week 31, then potentially you can use the free hit for the blank game week 35, because that comes straight after a double game week. So you can maximise your points for the double game week, use your free hit for game week 35, and then potentially use any chip left for game week 37. The reason why people don't focus as much on game week 37 is because by that point, certain teams will have already won or achieved or not achieved what they need to. Some teams will be relegated by game week 37. Some teams will... Maybe Man City have already won the league by game week 37, so they're going to play a rotated side, especially if they're still in the Champions League. There'll be teams in the middle of the table who will have nothing to play for. Generally, game week 37 and 38 can be tough to read, and that is why people generally don't use the bench boost on game week 37, because you try and get 15 players in your side with double games in that double game week, and then there's rotation, rest because of other things, and they've got nothing to play for. So that is why I would say use the free hit for game week 35, so you can just fully focus on a team that's the best possible team for game week 34, and then also with game week 37 in mind. So my plan would be game week 31 not to use any chip, hopefully have a decent team in place by then to be using my wild card on game week 33 or 32, most likely 32, and then hope there isn't loads of injuries that I have to contend with. The reason you use it before game week 34 is so that I can then use bench boost for game week 34, then free hit game week 35, and then I don't have triple captain left for game week 37. So that would be where I imagine a lot of people will play the triple captain chip, is double game week 37. But I've already played mine on Harry Kane and it didn't work out that well for me. So, you know, c'est la vie. Anyway, going to quickly tweet out the stream again because why not? Let's get as many people up in here as we can. Looks like it's going to be a bit of a chilled stream today. I think there is football on, which could be a big... Man United are playing. That's always a big a knock on the stream. And I've now just got to find where I am in the chat again. Who would you drop for... why am I seeing VVD and thinking of Van der Vaart, Virgil van Dijk, Otamendi or Alonso? Right now, I'd probably move towards Otamendi, and this is surprising because I've had Otamendi in my side regularly and consistently for a big chunk of the season, and he's been good for me, especially sometimes when I've really needed him to. But Man City don't look like a side that are going to keep clean sheets anymore. So Chelsea look more likely to keep clean sheets, and then Alonso is just as likely to score as any other defender in the game. Of course, money, if that's an issue, you would do it the other way round. But I would say Alonso over Otamendi. Fixture-wise, though, they both have two tough fixtures coming up. Then Chelsea have Tottenham in game week 32, whereas Man City do have Everton. So I would take that into consideration, but my gut says Alonso will score more points for the rest of the season. Nishad Narot, Kane, Firmino or Wilson. Kane, Firmino and Wilson or another striker. Right now I'm sticking with Wilson because of the double game week. The blank game week coming up. He's playing in it. So I'll be keeping Wilson until then. I'm not going to be transferring out players that have a game in game week 31. Who to replace my whole team? Have you got a wild card, Thomas McCarthy? What I would say right now is you could potentially wild card, because I know you want to start climbing now, but I would still save it until after game week 31, because literally you can rise so much in rankings from game week 31 onwards compared to people who have already used their chips and all that kind of stuff. So I would definitely consider keeping hold of it and not replacing a whole team just yet. Although I know you want to start climbing quickly. Would you think differently if you didn't have your wild card? If I didn't have my wild card, I mean, it has happened to me before, because the first season I did this on YouTube, I was doing pretty bad by January, and I felt I needed to use my wild card to start climbing the rankings. If I didn't have my wild card, I would be taking hits in places. I would probably still, because there's a significant amount of time till game week 31, I would try to make transfers and not use a chip in game week 31. I would then potentially use a free hit on a double game week. Maybe even game week 37, and just hope to attack game week 37 massively. So then after game week 31, start to bring in double game week players for game week 34. But then you've got game week 35 where you're really going to struggle. Although, to be honest, by that point, there's less blanks usually in Game Week 35 than there is in Game Week 31. The later blank Game Week is usually less. So I would probably use free hit on Game Week 37, bench boost on Game Week 34. But then when you're going to use triple captain, if you've still got that, it really depends on what you've still got. I always say, though, try and keep your wild card for this area of the season if you can. Another Hoops, how you doing, mate? Thank you for joining the stream. How do you spell Ben's last name? So, to spell it, it's at Ben, and then Krellin is Crellin. And trust me, everything you need to understand the double game weeks and the blanks is there. And tell him J&O sent you. Chaos, how you doing? Good to see you in the chat, mate. Is the United game terrible? I do have a habit of streaming when the United game is on. I don't do that on purpose. Amit Patel, that is exactly what I'd do if I had wildcard, triple captain, bench boost and free hit. I don't have the triple captain. Salvador Gonzalez, double game which will be in 34 and 37, most likely. There could be a game or two put elsewhere. I'm not a mind reader, but that is generally where they'll get put. Keep Aguero or switch out Aguero for Kane. I mean, my gut feeling is Kane is the better choice. Spurs definitely now have the better fixtures. If Spurs are playing in Game Week 31, then Kane is definitely the better choice right now. You would miss out on the Stoke game in Game Week 30, but I would definitely say with Jesus coming back as well, I would go to Harry Kane if I had Aguero. The plan was for me to try and get Aguero into the side, but I just never got to doing it because I could never get the money in time. And by the time I could get the money, it was almost the time when Kane's fixtures were good again. So I never really pulled the trigger on that. So I would say definitely make that move would be my suggestion. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, believe it or not. I agree with Amit. If you can have both, then both. But you're going to have to expect Jesus to start every now and again. What's the deal with the 2-point hit in the blank game week? Is it the team's not blanking or the whole team? Okay, Peter Gray, I get what you mean now. A lot of ways people explain this is, look, if you have a player that isn't going to play because their team isn't playing in the blank game week, transferring out a player for a -4 hit for a player that is guaranteed to play is actually only going to be a -2. Because if you think, for instance, Man City aren't playing in Game Week 31, so you've got Sterling. Stanislas is playing in Game Week 31 because Bournemouth are there. You've already made your transfers. Sterling isn't going to score points no matter what because there's no way he can play. He's going to get a 0. If Stanislas plays the whole game and doesn't pick up any cards, doesn't do anything stupid like scoring an own goal, Stanislas will get 2 points no matter what if he plays the full 90 minutes. So you're only losing 2 points if that player does nothing. As soon as that player scores an assist or a goal or gets some bonus points, you pretty much made the 4 up already. So the whole theory behind a -2 on a blank game week is there's no point having a player on 0 when you could take the punt on a player for basically -2 instead of a -4, because all that player needs to do is play the full 90 minutes and you've only lost 2 points. And as soon as they do anything of note, as long as they get more than 1 bonus point, you're in the same place as if you hadn't have played it. I hope that made sense. I felt like I was making sense at the beginning there, and then I kind of started to mess it up. So, you know. Okay, so keep Gomez in my defence, or... I like how you put or. I'm just like, or do what else? I think I've actually missed some people because my chat's dropped to the bottom. So I will get to that question, I promise. Michael Foley, how you doing? Nice to see you in the chat. Don't worry, Jeremy T. If you've got to go, you've got to go. It doesn't look like it's going to be a long one tonight, Jeremy T, purely because the numbers aren't here. But that's all good. Short ones actually get watched a lot more back than the long ones. When I do a 3-hour stream, who wants to sit there and watch a 3-hour stream that's already happened? Because a lot of this is about interaction, isn't it? Can you compare between Van Dijk and Robertson? So, I've got to find them first, which is always a good start. Okay, so there's Van Dijk. And we're comparing to Robertson. Okay. So, Robertson wins, but he's got more appearances, pretty much. 5 starts to 3. You've got no goals or assists on either side. Bonus points, Robertson at the moment would more likely get more bonus points. As far as goal threat goes, Van Dijk's actually beating Robertson, though. 5 goal attempts to 2. Inside the box, 4 to 2. Shots on target, 2 to 0. Minutes per attempt, 54 minutes per attempt for Van Dijk to 225 minutes per attempt. So if you're looking for goals, definitely Van Dijk. If you're looking for chances created, actually, Robertson also loses to Van Dijk. Chances created 3 to 1. So if you don't just take into account the fact that Robertson's played more games, Van Dijk actually has the better underlying stats, so I'll go Van Dijk. Okay, so to the keep Gomez in my defence or not. Now, the problem I have with Gomez is I've never felt like he's 100% nailed on. I have liked him as an option. But yeah, he's missed 2 games. There was that period there where he did rather well, playing a lot of games. I mean, Liverpool fans could also give some insight. I'm assuming, though, it's between Moreno and Robertson on the left. The right-back situation, Alexander-Arnold is going to get some game time. Of course, he got the 2 appearances when Gomez didn't play. So I feel like there's a rotation issue there. So I would say to get Gomez out. For who? If you can move to another Liverpool defender, I would stick with another Liverpool defender. If you can't, move towards the teams that have a game in Gameweek 31. Peter Gray, I have everything apart from the wildcard. Thought I needed to use it in Jan because of injuries and Deadwood. I'm climbing nearly 200,000 places to 110,000 since. Now dropped to 189,000. So Peter Gray, what I'd say is you have to try and... You've got to be really smart with the planning. So try and... Yeah, because my thinking has literally just been wildcard, I've still got it because I was always planning on keeping it. I would say, of course, Game Week 31, plan for it as best you can. Have around 8 players. I think you could get away with having about 8 players playing, as long as you're sure they're going to play. Then start planning for Game Week 34 with Game Week 35 in mind. So if there's someone with a double game week in 34 and then also playing in Game Week 35, I would definitely think of bringing them in. So then maybe use bench boosts if you can for Game Week 34, sorry. If you've still got free hit, then of course use that in 35 and then you don't have to worry about 35 so much. But the plus side of using wildcard, if you've got it, is you can then free hit on the Game Week 35. You could potentially use free hit on Game Week 37, but you'd have to be lucky to get all the picks correct. So yeah, I would say free hit for Game Week 35. and then do your best to get as many double game week players in as possible elsewhere. We got Ayush Valor. How you doing, Ayush? Good to see you in here. Best captain choice. I'm going to stick with my man Salah, purely because Salah has been consistently getting goals, scoring points. Whilst Kane can be explosive, Aguero has definitely been explosive. Salah is consistent. So I'm going with Salah. Amit Patel wants to know how many players people are thinking to get in for Game Week 31. I want 11 players, hopefully. I don't want people to not watch my actual video that I've recorded. So if you go watch my video, brain fart. If you go watch my team video, I literally go through every fixture. I did make the mistake of not making it clear Spurs may not be playing in Game Week 31 in the video, so apologies for that. It is in the comment right below the video. I go over every fixture that could happen in Game Week 31 and who I'm looking at bringing in. So that's the way I'll be moving my team towards. Ayush Valur, pop into... Mate, if you need to sleep, don't worry. None of you guys are obligated to come, but I love it when you do come to the stream. Mr. Jeff Holt is in the chat. How you doing, my friend? Hope all is good. Peter Gray, it does make sense. Good. I'm glad it made sense. The Leicester keeper and defender, should I take one out or keep? Keep it, and so I'm presuming they've got bad fixtures. Their fixtures aren't too bad. Stoke, Bournemouth, West Brom. I mean, Leicester generally don't feel like a team that keep clean sheets to me, so I'd only have one if I was going to. So I'd say yes, especially as they don't have a fixture in Game Week 31. So I'd say definitely take one of them out and then potentially both out for Game Week 31. You're going to realise a lot of my answers are going to be now thinking about the blanks and double game weeks. Jeff Holt, I'm planning Jones and Lingard out for Virgil van Dijk and Shaqiri. Then save a free transfer, so 2 free transfers. Game Week 30 can get 10 without a hit. That sounds like a good plan to me, Jeff. Best time to use a free hit. Game Week 35, in my opinion, is the best time to use it, because Game Week 35 you're going to have no time to plan for if you've gone all in on Game Week 34. Whereas Game Week 31, we've got 28, 29 and 30. So if you have used all your transfers, that's free transfers you've got. Let me think. Yeah, if you've used your transfers for this game week, you've got 29, 30 and 31, so that's free transfers. If you haven't used this week's one yet, that's 4. If you're like me and you carried one over, you've got 5. So the way I see it is best to use the free hit when you really don't have time to prep from one game week of that big a magnitude in Game Week 34 to 35. The false 9 presentation in front of 30 people tomorrow. I know how bad. Look, you'd think I'd be decent at presentations now, because I do this a lot. I do videos a lot. At my old job, I used to do training in front of anywhere from 5 to 30 people. I've talked in front of crowds before. Literally, I had to do a little induction at my new job, and there's no outline to it. It's just to talk about the job I do, blah, blah, blah. No outline, no structure, no pressure, and I could feel how nervous I was, because I was making it up on the spot. I like a structure. I like to know what I'm talking about, which is why FPL is a nice comfort zone for me now. YouTube's quite a nice comfort zone for me now, because I'm used to it. But when you're not used to doing something, it's nerve-wracking. Absolutely nerve-wracking. So hope all goes well for you tomorrow. What formation would I suggest for Game Week 31? I mean, I would say your formation depends on the players you want. If you only have confidence in one striker from the 8 teams that might be playing, then play a 1 striker up top formation. If you only have 3 midfielders you feel confident in, or 3 defenders, then play 3 in midfield, 3 in defence. I would literally play whatever formation in Game Week 31 that gets you as many players on the pitch that you are happy with in that game week. No worries, Jeff. Sorry I couldn't be more help, but I was at work. And it was quite a busy day for me. But any help I can give, I will try and give when I can. The false 9. I've got 5 players from 31 right now. I plan on having 8 or 9. Struggling for strikers other than Firmino. So, striker-wise, if I was looking at those fixtures, Wilson would be one I'd look at. West Brom, you could maybe take a punt on Rondon or Sturridge. Huddersfield, I wouldn't go near. Palace, again, maybe you'd take a punt on Sorloth, but not really. Stoke, again, not too sure of Stoke. Again, Everton, there's not a striker there. Nias could be a good punt for that game week. Liverpool, of course, you've got Firmino. Watford, again, no one really there that I'd want to go with. So I'm likely, unless I take a punt on Niasse, you're going to play Firmino and Wilson and then have more in midfield. Because if I look at midfield from those 8 games, I could pick a Bournemouth midfielder and feel okay with that. I could pick a Huddersfield midfielder in Moy. I could pick Zaha as a punt, or Townsend, or Milivojevic. No idea if I said that correctly, but you know he'd be on penalties, so you got that. Stoke, you could add Joe Allen to the Shaqiri I've already got, but Shaqiri looks a good shout to me. Everton, you've got Sigurdsson, you've got Walcott. Liverpool, you've got Salah, you've got Mane, you've got Oxlade-Chamberlain, who could be a differential. Then with Watford, Deulofeu's probably the one I'd look at, but Decore again could pop up with a goal, so you never know there. And then defence, I'd say there's always going to be defensive options that could possibly do well. West Brom can get clean sheets. Bournemouth, the defenders could score. Huddersfield Palace, who knows which way that goes, but you could get a clean sheet from that. Stoke Everton, I'd probably not go there, but then Liverpool defender would be a good shout, of course, for that Watford game. So I'd say potentially 2 striker formation. So 3-5-2 or 4-4-2 would be what I'm looking at. I've got 5 players. Yeah, I think I've already just read that. Talking in front of the camera is... It's weird because when I first started talking in front of the camera, that was harder for me because I'd never done it before. Now it's the other way around. I can talk in front of a camera all day. Are you worried about your goalkeeper choices? Do you think Pope will keep his spot as a starter? I'm going to assume he's going to keep it until he doesn't anymore. Because I don't know how much recovery time and match sharpness Tom Heaton needs. I know Tom Heaton will want to start playing because he'll want to go to the World Cup, of course. Pretty sure he's English. Yeah, he is. So, I'm not confident in my keepers, but I'm not going to change it just yet. FPL family stream, I didn't actually catch it. Unfortunately, I was at work until like 9:30. So I didn't catch it. I got home, I watched some Dragon Ball Z Super, and then I went to bed, and then I went straight back to work in the morning. So I didn't catch anything last night, but much appreciated if FPL family did give me a shout out. Great people over there, great quality streams, very natural as well. So definitely ones, if you haven't checked them out, definitely go check them out. Mane, Salah, Walcott, Shaqiri for 4-4-2. Yeah, I can't argue with that at all. Can't argue with that at all. Jeff Holt, I suggested their version of the flock has joined the family, become an in-law. Jeff, you're just like the PR man for FPL YouTubers. Become an in-law. I like that, the in-laws. Mate, you are pretty good at this. So I might have to hire you. If I ever get to the point where I can hire you as my like PR aka nickname man, you've got a job. Anyway guys, unless there's any really urgent questions, I am going to call it there. And then maybe start prepping for tomorrow's stream, which may get a bit more traction. Because I don't know what games are on tomorrow. But I don't want to overstay my welcome when I've talked about everything I really want to talk about. And you guys have asked your questions. So I will call it there unless something pops up. Thank you guys so much for joining the stream as always. Hope you've enjoyed it. And if you want to support the stream in any way, you can, of course, donate to the stream. We had some great donations last stream that we did. You can become a sponsor of the channel as well, a sponsor of the stream. And then, of course, there is stuff like Patreon and various other affiliate links in the description. So check them out if you want to. I've been JNO. This has been FPL Today. And remember, it's all about the game.